Hello everybody, and welcome to a nice little overview on Procreate Dreams 2 and what's new. This is a massive update. The dreams have been sort of built up from ground again. That's why it's taken so long, but now it's so much better, more responsive. We have new tools and a bright future. So I want to show you all the new stuff and what's different to Procreate Dreams 1. And also that my Procreate Dreams course on schoolism is luckily still totally relevant. Like all the tips and tricks I'm teaching you there, you can still do. But the biggest changes is inside Flipbook. So I will show you what's different there. And then you can do all the same awesome stuff as in Procreate Dreams 1. It's just gotten easier, and you can do more stuff. So that's really cool. So let's just start with the simple stuff. How to begin, right? What's different here? So as you start a canvas, this is very familiar, like Dreams 1. Also here you can set your duration and frames per second. And this is also something you can change inside the project at any time you want. And you could either start with a flipbook right away or empty timeline. Let's start with the empty timeline, just to show you. On the right area in the middle, you used to have the play button and then the perform. So play button is center now, and you have perform down here. If you tap it twice, you get this motion filtering access to the menu. Roll sensitivity is if you have an Apple Pencil Pro, so you can rotate the actual pencil. And then you have keyframe here now. And multi-select is up here. And then drawing mode is relevant only when you have a drawing or a flipbook. And I will show you that very soon. So the plus is in the same place. And here you can start a flipbook, a drawing, text. You can add more tracks. You can insert photo, video, or file. Let me just also show you this little menu, because now you used to tap on the numbers, on the time code, but now everything is put in this nice little menu. So I have about the artwork. Here you can change frames per second if you want, the duration. Maybe we just want it to be like 2 seconds now. You see the timeline updates. You have the history. You have different undo steps, redo steps you can set. Resolution. You can also change this right here. Then you have stage, background color. Do you want it to be transparent? You can also export transparent video now, which is really cool. You have onion skin settings in this stage area. Time code, timeline stuff. Do you want your animation to loop or just one shot or ping pong? Add keyframe at start. I always turn that off. I like to decide where my keyframes go. Share. And then you have the prefs. And one little thing I would recommend right away, if you go into the gestures, turn off the multi-select with finger. Because if you set multi-select with finger, you can multi-select both with the finger and Apple Pencil, and then you can't really maneuver around while you are multi-selecting. So it's nice to just have it on the Apple Pencil. So that's basically what I have. I also turned off the squeeze Apple Pencil Pro to play, because I rather want it to be switching between brush and eraser when I'm in drawing mode or flipbook mode. So that's my sort of prefs setup. So let's start to jump into flipbook. This is definitely the part that's gotten the biggest overhaul, and which is so much better now. So you have at the bottom here, you can add new tracks. So you can have as many tracks as you want, and you can move them up and down like this. You can long hold on the left side, and then you get this little menu with copy, paste, duplicate, blend modes. You can clip mask this one to a lower track, luminance mask, alpha mask. Yeah, so a lot of more options. And also the really nice thing that you can just adjust the opacity inside. That's the same with tracks on the main timeline. You can just adjust the opacity without having a keyframe or anything. So let me just make a couple of frames here. So the plus sign on the side here is to add in between. But you can also tap, or if you tap, you can stretch these out like this. But if you long hold, you can insert frame. Basically, it does the same thing as the plus sign. But when you extended something, you can also long hold and split it in two. So you get basically a copy. And you can also cut, copy, paste, duplicate. I'll come back to that a little later as well. And you also have the track options here, which is the same as long holding over here. It's the same menu. And you could either choose to just plot in how many frames the duration should be, or you can just tap again to get these handles and stretch it out to be as many frames as you want. And of course you could clear the frame, or you can remove empty section. That will delete the whole empty section. Or you could also just remove single frame when there's nothing there. So now you know that little menu. So with this scene here, for example, this is a commission for the release of Procreate Dreams 2. I have this character. You see his character design on the side there. He's gonna run down these stairs and then come running towards us. So with multi-select, for example, it's really nice. You can select multiple frames. If I want to extend these, I tap once, you get this little handle, then you can extend all of them at the same time. You don't even need the extra finger. And then you can maneuver with the finger. You use the Apple Pencil to keep selecting or to extend. Then the finger and the Apple Pencil does different things. And this is what you couldn't do, the maneuvering part, if you had the multi-select with finger. So, yep, that's why I recommend that part. And of course you have up here, you have the onion skins. You can choose color, how many frames, forwards and backwards. You have add, insert photo, insert a file. You have the canvas, crop and resize. So you see, because in my scene here, he's going to run and do a jump. So it makes sense for me to have that crop going much more to the right of the scene, you know, not center around. So you have the frame of your project, which is 4K. And then depending a bit on which iPad you have, you can go up to 16K. So just like in Procreate, so much bigger, of course, than your frame, the movie frame, if you will. And you can move this around, you can scale this in and out, so it's all tailorable, if that's a word. And then you have the keyframe effects. If I had any keyframes, like a blur, for example, on the timeline, this is a good place to turn it off, so you don't draw in a blurred mode. So you just turn off whatever filters you have on the main timeline. Really good. Yeah, selection mask, visibility. In Prefs you have the brush cursor visibility and also advanced cursor settings. Pressure curve, which is really nice, and smoothing, which you can here set generally for all the brushes, or you can go into each brush and set it per brush. And then you have which side you want the brush size and opacity sidebar. And then if you want to store your brushes on the iCloud or enable painting with finger, which I don't like, so I turn that off. Then you have some filters you can use on the drawings here. These are destructive. And then of course the amazing selection tool, you know, you can go in, you can transform part of your scene. You can also like select here, transform, you can warp if you want to have that more like this, for example. Like this is the super rough pass, you know, so you go in and you hack it away just to make the nice motion work at this point. And then you have of course your amazing brushes, and like this is the brush pack you get for free if you buy my Procreate Dreams course on schoolism. Some really good brushes, and like the ink clean, for example, I've set up a few size locks here, so you can go in at any size and you can tap here and press the little plus. Then you have this as a locked size, so the smallest one, you know, is nice for the more fine outlines or sketching, and the next notch is a bit bigger, you know, you can go a bit more rough, but you also have the thinner lines, if you will, really nice for sketching. So you can put all these notches in here, and then you can also remove them, which is cool. But it's, especially for animation, it's great to be able to have to come back to these handles so that you know that where I continue now, I have the same brush size, you know. So that's with the brushes, and you have drawing layers. So you also have tracks. You can add tracks down here, right? So if you have like an overlapping arm, for example, like I have here, you might want to put that in a separate track like this, but then it doesn't show up on the onion skins when you are down here. So if it's very important that you keep the onion skin, that you see that as you're animating on that specific limb, like the arm, but it's also overlapping, so you might not want that. If you need to select the arm now and it's on the same drawing layer here, it's hard to select it and move around. So that's when I use drawing layers. Then it becomes, you know, I can still transform it and move it around like freely, and it becomes part of the same onion skin group as well. So that's an example of where you might want to use these layers instead. And you can also slide to the right, and then you can transform the whole thing. Then it works as one, same as in Procreate. And also inside here you have the clipping mask. You can merge down, you can rename, and yeah, nice things also with the blend modes you have here. So fairly similar to Procreate. But speaking of more tracks, let me show you a scene where I got more tracks on. So here it's a bit further with some more tracks here. And like here is the sketch you saw earlier, sketch track. And the cool thing here now is you can just long hold and adjust the opacity. So I don't need to do this per frame. That would be a lot of job, a lot of work. Because now here I'm focusing on, for example, his clothing, you know, so that he has some nice overlap and like secondary motion, and it's feels a bit more loose than his body. So I have I also use different colors for the different things. Like his clothing is on this track in red, and then up here his hair is blue. So it's nice. I can then also just turn off the clothing if I don't want to see that, you know, so you can come in and adjust anything like this. So you can, like this one, the green one is a bit sort of more tidying up track for me. So you see it's not on all the tracks, but it's around the head and the feet somewhere where my rough pass is a bit hard to read. So I go in and do some adjustments on this track, and then here I have this sort of this dead face that I kind of just warp into place for each frame, just so I know where the eyes and mouth and stuff will be for each frame. So it's not, when I do the cleanup, I can put the eyebrows and stuff, like I know where they would be in like a deadpan situation. So altogether, this is sort of giving me the whole all I need to do the cleanup pass. So if I want to go back to the main timeline now, I can just double tap on the top left corner where it says Flipbook. I don't need to tap once and then tap the finished drawing. You can just double tap on Flipbook. So here on the main timeline, we have some brilliant new options as well. One of them is you can do this. You can just grab that bar on the sides of the play button, and you have 3 sort of settings to show how much of the stage or the timeline you want to see. So that's very, very nice, very wanted. And when I'm setting up and I need to animate, I usually just put, like, here's my sort of big project. I have this white layer, this one, that is just one big white square. So if I were to do this again, so here you see my background painting, and so I want to add a new track, for example, add a new track, then I add a drawing, and you see now this is where my canvas is for this exact drawing. So then you might need to go into canvas, crop and resize, and I only need this over here, so that this will be my crop area, if you will. And then I go into my brushes and then take the solid square, which is one I use a lot in Dreams, and just tap. And then I can go out of the drawing mode, double tap, top left corner again, onto the main timeline. And this, when you start a new drawing, this will go from wherever you were on the timeline all the way to the end here. And you just long hold on the edge, and then you can extend it like you want it. And now you're in, like, we're in compose mode at the bottom here. So this means I can adjust, rotate, scale, whatever I want here without setting any keyframes. So this is, even if you have keyframes on something, you can still move it and place it in in a new place, or scale it or rotate it. So that movement will be in addition to your keyframes. So then I just long hold and adjust the opacity on this one. So when I do my animation, it's important to see what I'm doing. So, like, I need to get to a frame where I actually have the character. So maybe like here. And then for each situation, I will adjust it more up and down. So it's important for me to see my background. So I see where the steps, for example, so he places the foot in correct positions. But I don't need to see a lot of it. So that's a nice little trick when you're doing the animation. So above here, I have started on the cleanup, which is in its own flipbook. And then I can easily adjust the opacity of the whole sketch version down here, and then do the cleanup on top here, which is really nice. And then I can also, I've started the coloring as well. And I just did a copy of the flipbook of the cleanup, because inside here you see it's all on one track. Then it's pretty easy to color, you know. I could pick this color, for example, and I can drag it down to his shirt. And I can click continue filling if I want, and now I can just keep coloring all his shirt pieces, for example. So I'm not going to do that right here, just to show you. The continuous fill is really great. But I also want to keep my outline on a separate track. So I have the copy down here, which I already colored. But the great thing about having your cleanup on a separate track is that you can color this as well. So for example, if I want his outline to be a little red, for example, I could make a new track above, and I can add a drawing like earlier with a white square. I would just move it over here. And then maybe a darker red color, for example. Big square like this. So I know it's covering the whole animation. Like for this specific scene, it's going to go way out to the right, but it's not that often you have this, the long run that this guy is making. But then I can make this last only as long as the animation, for example. I can long hold here and split content. So that's part of the old edit. And then I can long hold, mask, clipping mask. So now you see that his outline is red. I'm going to turn off the white square down here so it's a bit easier to see towards the background painting. Turn off this one as well so you can see the whole thing. So this is also great to have the outline separate. So then you can also adjust with just the opacity. Maybe you want part of that red, for example. And it's only affecting the outline, not the color itself. So that's also a neat little trick. So here I'm inside the final scene, the final version of the project where the flames are in and he's running and everything. And also like you see here, the light on him shifts according to where he is in the scene. So back here I just have this blue drawing which is in normal blend mode, which is also clip masked to him. I just animated the opacity. So if I turn this up here, you see he would be just totally blue. So up here he's much more blue up here. It starts on like 49% and then just tapers off. And then here he gets that nice warm light on him. So this one also has the opacity. This is in a different blend mode, so it's in overlay. So that's cool as well, that you can sort of have different stuff on top here in different blend modes. This one is also in overlay, much darker. And also with keyframes on hue, saturation, brightness down here. So that's how I got him sort of looking more interactive to the scene he's running through. And so here is my character file. So this is a group with different flipbooks. So I got one for just his face. So you see his expression changes over time. And then he's also scaling up a lot, you know, through the scene. You see how big that, how small it is compared to that big sort of door frame he's standing in now. And then further into the scene now he's as big as the door frame. So he's getting bigger, but the whole scene is scaled down as well, and then it's the jump. So I have a different flipbook for the jump itself. But it's also cool that like you can copy and paste all kinds of stuff now. You can hold down and you can copy here, and then you could add a new track, and then you can just paste. Or you could also 3-finger down, copy, paste. You can paste inside a new layer here. You can also copy from inside the flipbook, go out to the timeline, add a new track, and also paste here. So here's his face again. So you can copy paste all kinds of stuff, and not the least the keyframes, which is really cool. So up here it's kind of a camera move that both scales out and then pans to the side, and then you also have that nice parallax compared to the background. So it's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. So you have one group here with everything in, except for the stuff deeper into the scene, the background. And then there's a group on top of that again with different animation. I had to do it this way to get it to work like I wanted it to. But the cool thing now is you can use multi-select, and you can grab a bunch of frames and you can move them at the same time. And you can also grab a couple of, like I want to copy these over here, for example. So you can copy and paste keyframes as well. So that's great that both multi-select and copy and paste is so powerful now. It works all over the place. So I think that's about it with the new stuff. And here is the scene, how it looks full frame. It was a lot of fun to do, challenging as well to have this character not just running towards, but then also from the side, so he has to turn during the run, but also get bigger for each step he takes, and so kind of challenging animation. But a lot of fun, and fun to paint the background, and also you have the waterfall in the background here, and yeah, all the other stuff. So if you want to learn to do this kind of stuff, just take my Procreate Dreams course on Schoolism. Okay, see you soon. Bye.